blew up.
A massive hotel explosion rocks the heart of downtown Fort Worth.
I thought it was an earthquake.
It happened as I pushed open the door.
It blew out doors and windows and sent debris flying across the street.
You know, it's heartbreaking for downtown Fort Worth.
Tonight, nearly 24 people hurt and the investigation just beginning.
She spent a lifetime breaking barriers and half a century representing the people of Dallas. Tonight, North Texas and President Biden pay tribute to Eddie Bernice Johnson.
And wicked weather across Texas, from a blizzard warning to heavy cold rain to gusty winds. We've got a packed newscast. WFAA News at 10 starts now.
For the first time, we're hearing the powerful explosion at the Sandman Signature Hotel. This new surveillance video captured the sound of today's blast.
It was a terrifying day in downtown Fort Worth, but tonight, the most important thing we can tell you is everyone survived that massive explosion.
21 people were injured in the blast, and it's a credit to first responders that no one was killed, especially when you consider the magnitude of the explosion. Take a look at the damage. You can see it blew out doors and windows and sent large chunks of debris flying out on the street.
The newly renovated hotel, located along Houston Street, just a short walk away from Sundance Square. Now, we want to show you this Google Maps image of what the hotel looked like before, and now we want to compare it to what's left of it just shortly after the explosion.
We'll unpack the impact on everyone who works and lives downtown in a moment, but first, let's dive into what caused this.
Adriana de Alba live near the scene with the latest on this investigation. Adriana?
And I could tell you that right now search efforts are still underway. Everyone is alive, thank goodness, but I'm told that crews will continue to search through the night. What we've learned is that there were 21 people injured. Fort Worth Fire says it appears this was a gas explosion, but that investigation still underway and just beginning. From a quiet Monday in downtown Fort Worth,
it was chaos,
to the scene of destruction.
All the sirens, just nonstop sirens, cops, 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 cops.
It was 3:30 in the afternoon.
Just a strong shake.
When an explosion rocked the newly renovated Sandman Signature Hotel.
I felt like I was on a set of a movie.
The blast left people injured on the street and covered in blood, trying to comfort each other. Windows blown out, debris scattered along Houston Street. David Breimer,
and then my bed shook.
Felt the explosion from his apartment 8 blocks away.
I thought it was an earthquake.
Fort Worth Fire says based on the characteristics, it appears to be a gas explosion. As to where or how exactly it originated, that's still under investigation. City records show there was construction happening in the hotel's restaurant, but it's unclear if it was related to the explosion. Tonight, Atmos Energy telling us gas has been shut off to the area.
It was just a huge boom. Just exactly. I mean, it's like a scene out of a movie.
Jessica Nod works at Thompson's bookstore across from the hotel.
Just a huge fireball.
She was outside.
It felt like the sound waves go through your body.
Saw, felt, and heard the blast.
I was blown back.
Panicked, she ran to the bookstore to get her employees to safety. So did fire crews, who went door to door, evacuating nearby businesses and getting people occupying 26 of the hotel's 245 rooms out.
Life safety is our number one. That's our priority.
Crews even rescued people trapped in the hotel basement.
Feel really lucky to be here, standing here right now.
Now, another big question investigators are looking into is whether that hotel building is still structurally sound. But lots of stories beginning to come out off camera. On the phone tonight, I spoke with a worker who was inside of that hotel when the explosion happened, and she told me she had to jump from the second story to get to safety, and thank goodness she's okay tonight. I want to toss it over to my colleague Matt Howerton, who is on the opposite side of that hotel. And Matt, sounds like this cleanup might take some time.
Yeah, it will, and it's going to impact businesses all and around this area. We actually followed a business owner into the blast area this evening to check on his building to see if it was okay, and we got to see the hotel up close and personal. And when you see the debris lying everywhere, you really understand just how powerful this explosion really was. The Sandman Signature Hotel unrecognizable Monday night. Hours earlier,
I was driving down Houston.
Downtown Fort Worth looking about the same to Uber driver Richard Vargas.
I knew it was an explosion because it was so loud.
Vargas not the only one who heard it. People living and working downtown felt it, a suspected gas explosion in the hotel where construction was happening. Vargas immediately parked and started filming.
That's when I saw the firemen rescuing somebody out of the second floor.
It's a miracle no one has been killed so far. Our unification area was established blocks away. We met a woman there. She wanted to speak anonymously, but told us finding injured people she knew who were hospitalized wasn't easy.
It's just been a nightmare not knowing if these people are okay. Are they in the hospital? What's going on, you know?
Most cars and businesses within the blast area inaccessible Monday night.
I got here about 10 minutes after it happened.
Tim Ballard's business, Cowtown Segway Adventures, is right across the street from the hotel.
Some days it rains.
And because of the rain, everybody got a day off. A blessing. Usually, tourists practice using their segways right in front of the hotel. I followed Ballard when he was allowed through a checkpoint to see if his business was okay. Take a look at this sidewalk right here in front of the Sandman Hotel. There's glass everywhere. It's like this up and down the street, debris all over the place. This is Barber's Bookstore. The window here shattered, likely from the shockwave of the explosion. 3:30 p.m., January 8th, 2024. An innocuous time and date for many, but for most in this area,
Right in the heart of downtown.
a day they'll remember. In Fort Worth, I'm Matt Howerton.
We spoke with an expert on fires and explosions, and he told us if this was a gas leak, there's a chance people didn't smell it before the blast. And that's especially true if the leak started underground, because the odor will dissipate as it goes up. Richard Meyer goes on to say if this was a slow leak, people may have become used to the smell, but either way, he was not surprised by the debris field.
I have seen events where a house has literally been blown off its foundation and turned into toothpicks. To have a large amount of debris in the street that is, windows, doors, wall panels, whatever, blown out, would not surprise me a bit.
The Sandman Signature Hotel opened 9 months ago in the historic W.T. Wagoner building. It was built back in 1920 with a 2-story marble base and brick middle. The 20-story tower is on the National Register of Historic Places and was home to XTO Energy until 6 years ago.
As we mentioned, search efforts will go on through the night to ensure no one else is trapped. Crews will also stay on scene all night to make sure there are no trespassers. You can wake up early with us for the latest update on this explosion tomorrow at 6 a.m. on News 8 Daybreak.
You know, with everything happening in Fort Worth, we also need to get you up to speed on the weather. A powerful winter storm brought gusty winds and rain to North Texas after prompting a blizzard warning in the Panhandle. That system also sparked severe thunderstorms near Houston.
And here's a closer look at the wind in Lubbock. Look at that. The cold air sent these tumbleweeds blowing across the street. Meteorologist Kyle Roberts in for Pete, and he's been tracking this system for days. Kyle, it's been a windy night in North Texas, too. We've had some reports of power lines down in some areas, and right now about 20,000 people are without power in North Texas.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's going to continue into the overnight hours. Would not be surprised to see some power outages, or, maybe your power just briefly flickers during the overnight hours because of the strong winds that are in North Texas right now, but it will be across most of the state as well. A strong storm system earlier, Houston to Beaumont under a tornado watch. Now that tornado watch kind of New Orleans to Mobile, but look at the blizzard warnings up in the Panhandle on the cold side of this system, and there you can see it spinning, the low pressure system kind of across central Oklahoma there. Snow on the backside. We saw the thunderstorms today. So did the Houston area. All that rain is moving out, but the wind has really moved in. Look at Fort Worth gusting to 59 miles an hour right now. Mineral Wells to 56. Remember, what makes a thunderstorm severe? The wind has to be 58 miles an hour or stronger. There are no thunderstorms in North Texas, but the winds are as strong as a severe thunderstorm in portions of the area, and that's going to continue overnight tonight, and the cold air will arrive as well. So what does that mean by tomorrow morning? Going to be cold regardless, but when you factor in a breeze that'll be gusting 40, maybe 50 miles an hour as you step out the door, it'll feel like 20 as you step out the door tomorrow. Now, I got Arctic air on the way a little bit. 20 sounds cold, but what about actual temperatures below that. That's in our future, and I'll tell you when coming up here in just a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Kyle. Now to the tribute to a political trailblazer. Tonight, even the sitting president came to honor former Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson.
About 1,500 people attended the wake and prayer service at Concord Church in Dallas tonight. WFAA senior political reporter Jason Whiteley joins us in studio. I was told it was a very uplifting service.
It was, and it was a very rare service, too, with so many leaders here. You know, tonight, the nation's top Democratic leaders were in Dallas to remember the late Eddie Bernice Johnson. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries from New York was here, Congressman James Clyburn from South Carolina, and of course, President Biden here briefly as well. But neither Jeffries nor President Biden spoke publicly to mourners tonight at Concord Church. Both leaders only made brief appearances there. President Biden returned to Dallas Love Field within the last hour or so, boarding Air Force One a little after 9 o'clock tonight to fly back to Washington, D.C. This is Biden's first trip to North Texas as president. He was last here in 2020. Campaigning for the White House with many of those same people he was with tonight. But this day started with Eddie Bernice Johnson's casket, though, lying in state at the Hall of State in Fair Park. It ended with her wake in southern Dallas County tonight there at Concord Church. WFAA's Teresa Woodard was inside the church for the service tonight. Teresa, it was an impressive list of national leaders who came to say goodbye to the late Congresswoman.
Yeah, Jason, and it was made quite clear tonight that even the most seasoned of politicians look to Eddie Bernice Johnson for wisdom and counsel and advice. And even though she is gone, the guidance that she gave so many will live on.
She fulfilled her purpose and she knew what it was.
Making history is not easy. Being born when Eddie Bernice Johnson was born and looking the way she looked made it remarkably hard. But EBJ, a black woman from Texas, made history over and over again.
Congresswoman Johnson courageously confronted, overcame, and transformed America, making sure that the most marginalized and vulnerable citizen had a voice and a friend in Congress.
The wake for a woman who spent a half-century in politics drew powerful politicians.
Eddie Bernice Johnson was our yellow rose. Let it be known that she was a civil rights fighter. She did not allow injustices to get by her.
But the most powerful spoke only with his presence. President Biden greeted EBJ's family, paused at her casket, made a sign of the cross, and prayed. The president lost a friend, and even the most seasoned office holders lost a mentor.
30 years as a senator, I still consider myself a mentee of Eddie Bernice Johnson. She encouraged us. The Bill Coalition is based on interests and not based on party affiliation or anything like that. And I'll remember that. And I know others that are mentees of Eddie Bernice Johnson will do the same.
They miss her, always will, but they will always follow her wisdom, not just in how they govern, but in how they live. In Dallas, I'm Teresa Woodard.
Johnson's funeral is tomorrow morning there at Concord Church. Tomorrow night, though, the city of Dallas is going to honor Johnson's legacy by lighting up the skyline yellow to represent the yellow rose of Texas and Johnson's life as a symbol of resilience. Chris?
Jason, earlier tonight, police arrested nearly a dozen protesters outside Dallas Love Field. Demonstrators held a pro-Palestinian rally before the president's arrival in North Texas, and protesters blocked the main road to the airport. The group is demanding a ceasefire in Gaza and calling on the federal government to end its support of Israel.
Coming up in 2 minutes, the search for a gunman after a 17-year-old girl was shot and killed in Dallas. What we've learned about the suspect.
And United Airlines just made a troubling discovery after a piece blew off an Alaska Airlines plane thousands of feet in the air.
Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy taking on his former team. Find out why he says he can't win at home this week. Later in sports.
Tonight, both United and Alaska Airlines say they found loose bolts and other problems on the fleet of Boeing 737 MAX 9s.
Yeah, the airlines are all taking a second look at those jets after Friday's terrifying flight led the FAA to ground some MAX 9s. This is the gaping hole left behind when the fuselage plug blew off the plane 16,000 feet in the air. No one was seriously injured on board the Alaska Airlines flight over Portland, but passengers say there was an incredible rush of cabin air that ripped off some headrests, sucked out their cell phones, and tore a boy's shirt right off him.
Today, the NTSB shared pictures of the door plug found tangled in tree branches in a residential area near Portland, Oregon. Inspections are now underway after the FAA grounded all MAX 9s operated by Alaska and United. Southwest and American do not have the jet in their fleets. And there are new leads tonight in the deadly shooting of a high school junior. Dallas police issued an arrest warrant for 17-year-old Trayvon Wright. He's accused of the murder of Ikea Hood at a home on Grambling Drive in southeast Oak Cliff Sunday morning. Hood was also 17 years old. Police sources say she welcomed a baby just a few weeks ago, and that Wright is the child's father. Hood attended Lancaster High School, where she was a member of the drill team. If you have any information about this deadly shooting, call Dallas PD.
Former President Trump is heading to D.C. tomorrow to attend an appeals court hearing on presidential immunity. This is a federal case that concerns his role in the Capitol riot. And later this week, the former president is also expected to go to court in New York for closing arguments in a civil fraud trial. The state attorney general accused Mr. Trump of inflating property values to obtain loans for his real estate developments and golf resorts. The former president is facing 4 cases and 91 criminal charges, and he consistently denies doing anything wrong.
And with just a week away from the Iowa caucus, GOP candidates have one last chance to clash on live TV. Only 3 candidates qualified for Wednesday's debate: Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and former President Donald Trump. But like the last 4 debates, Mr. Trump is expected to be a no-show. Our Realitics team is gearing up for their trip to Iowa this week. Look for live reports from Jason Whiteley and Jason Wheeler starting this Thursday, and of course team coverage Monday for the Iowa caucus.
Well, they better bring big coats. I was looking at the forecast for Iowa. It is bone-chilling cold there coming up.
And here, too.
Yeah, and some of those playoff football games this upcoming weekend could be really, really cold as well.
I'm just glad Michigan won tonight, or we were going to be dealing with a force over here.
I already heard some yelling a little bit earlier, making me uncomfortable.
I'm happy, though. I'm happy.
Yeah, he's very happy. All right, let's talk about what's going on outside. You've probably noticed that the wind, the big story out there at the moment. We had the rain earlier today. Now the wind has arrived. DFW Airport gusting to 45 miles an hour. Delays of well over an hour because of those wind gusts. They're having to use the diagonal runways, not the north-south ones, the ones that run a little bit more diagonal. And that limits the amount of traffic that can take off and land, and so that's why there's delays out of DFW Airport, and that will continue into the overnight hours because it's not just there dealing with the wind. All of North Texas dealing with the wind. Thankfully, the rain is gone. That's all moving off to the east and will continue to do so. We'll see clearing skies overnight tonight, but look at some of these wind gusts. 40-plus Denton and McKinney right now, 40-plus in Gainesville, but Fort Worth, almost 60 miles an hour. Remember, I said this earlier, a severe thunderstorm can be considered severe if it has a wind gust of 58 miles an hour or stronger. There are no thunderstorms in Fort Worth right now, but you have winds as strong as a severe thunderstorm, and that's going to continue overnight tonight. If you have outdoor furniture or loose items, make sure it's secured. And unfortunately, there could be some power outages overnight tonight because of these winds as well. They'll continue 40 to 50 plus midnight, 3 a.m. And as you wake up tomorrow morning, wind gusts will easily be 30 to 40 plus miles an hour. And with the cold that'll be out there, actual temperatures, nothing unheard of for this time of the year. Low to mid 30s, but with that wind, it will feel like the teens and 20s across North Texas first thing tomorrow morning. That is what you need to dress for as you step out the door. Tomorrow afternoon, we hit 50 for a high, so it will be a chilly and windy day tomorrow. Look at the warm-up, though. By Wednesday, it's back in the 60s. Thursday's in the upper 60s, but then another strong front arrives. Friday's a high of 45. Saturday's up to 50. And then there's our Arctic front, the coldest air of the season so far, headed our way. Coldest temperatures we've seen in a couple years here in North Texas, too. It's all this air up in Canada that continues to just kind of build and get cold. Look at all the temperatures well below zero, 30-plus degrees below zero. That's the Arctic air that's headed our way, probably arriving sometime during the day on Sunday. Monday will be bitterly cold here in North Texas and across kind of the whole eastern half of the country as well. Very windy and cold tonight, though. 34 will be the low. Remember, that's around normal, but with the breeze, it'll feel like the teens and 20s. Windy, dry, and chilly. Tons of sun tomorrow, but with that wind out of the north, that'll keep us on the chilly side and only about 50 for that high. As I mentioned, we're in the 60s Wednesday and Thursday. Friday's at 45, 50 Saturday, and then look at next Monday. A low of 19, a high of 33. Tuesday of next week, a low of 18, a high of 38. Thankfully, the cold blast doesn't last forever, and we're back, in the 40s and 50s by the middle part of that following week. You see that 20% on Monday. There's been some hints at something falling from the sky.
My goodness.
Really? Hold on. Just some hints. I'm going to put this in sports terms for you. It'd be like this weekend if Green Bay goes up 7-0 after their first drive. You wouldn't just say, oh, they're going to win 42-0, right? No, it's possible.
Okay.
Probably unlikely, though. So what I'm saying is that it's possible we could be keeping our eyes out for maybe a little something wintry early next week.
Telling the kids for now?
But a very low chance at this point.
Okay.
All right, low chance.
Did you hear this guy screaming
Yeah,
upstairs?
there's a very high chance that Chris Lawrence is the happiest man on this desk right now. His Michigan Wolverines. Boy, it looked dicey for just a minute, but they pull it out. We'll have a national champion. We'll crown him next. A pair of 14-0 heavyweights doing battle for the CFP championship tonight. Sure felt like Michigan should have run away with it, but Washington fights to make it a game. It is the final iteration of the 4-team playoff, thank goodness. Michigan dominates early. Donovan Edwards sets the tone with a pair of long TD runs. This 46-yarder makes it 14-3, Big Blue still in the first. Huskies fight back, though, and when Michael Penix finds Jalen McMillan, it's 17-10. But Michigan would not be denied. Blake Corum's TD run makes it a 2-touchdown lead, 34-13 the final. It's the Wolverines' first outright national championship since 1948.
It's glorious. That's all I can say. I just love my teammates so much. I love my coaches. It's bittersweet because this is going to be the last time we get to play together. I love those guys so much. It's just such a special group.
Glorious feeling, man. Really don't have any more words than that. Maybe to quote J.J. McCarthy, bet.
Hey, Coach, who has it better than you right now?
Nobody.
All right, I'll say it. Go Big Blue. That's for you, Chris. Meanwhile, no more posturing for NFL teams. Time for them to shove all their chips into the middle of the table and show their hands. Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy taking on his former team Sunday. But as Jonah Javad reports, McCarthy's playing it close to the vest.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
The Cowboys and Packers have played 8 times in the postseason. Each team has won 4. But as Cowboys Nation knows all too well, Green Bay has won the only 2 this millennium.
That is unbelievable.
One thing both those games had in common, Mike McCarthy on the Packers sideline. This week, McCarthy will face his former team in the playoffs. But the Cowboys head coach is not interested in the whimsical storyline.
It will not help us win.
McCarthy coached the Packers for 13 seasons, and while he's not trying to dwell on the past at work, he may have a tougher time at the house.
I got a wife and 3 daughters, obviously 2 sons, but, you can't win in that house.
But the Cowboys can win at home. Undefeated at AT&T Stadium since week 1 of last season. On Sunday, Cowboys playoff football returns to Arlington.
There's a great story there with Mike McCarthy. Somebody mentioned you're going to play your team. He said, that's not my team. This is my team.
I'm a Dallas Cowboy, and this is our opportunity, and I just want to make sure I'm doing my part.
So once again, it's the Cowboys and Packers, their 9th postseason matchup, which ties an NFL record, and you got Mike McCarthy coaching against his former team. The NFL couldn't script it any better. At the Star in Frisco, I'm Jonah Javad.
And the Stars in Minnesota tonight, they score a couple of shorthanded goals, and Matt Murray stopped all 23 shots he saw in his season debut. Stars cruise 4-0. That's a look at sports. Chris and Izzy back with a final word after this.
And search efforts will continue through the night at the Sandman Hotel to make sure no one is still trapped there at that hotel. They're also going to be making sure that the building is structurally sound.
Yeah, look for updates tomorrow morning. Our team will have live team coverage tomorrow morning on Daybreak.